Othering Podcast explores the world of marginalized communities with a focus on the disabled and LGBTQ+. In our discussions, we will provide a platform for our guests to advocate and share their stories. By delving deep into their difficulties and successes, we will explore the changes necessary to improve lives everywhere. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Othering Podcast with Mike and Dory.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi.
All right, everybody. Today we're here with Giselle. Her friends call her Gigi. She said you can call her whichever one you want. Gigi has many diagnoses, including but not limited to chronic migraines, endometriosis, fibromyalgia, POTS, spinal stenosis, arthritis, and others I can't pronounce, and more that she'll talk about later. She's had a very rough past, lots of surgeries, but she fights every day for her kids, for answers, and for visibility, which is why she's here today. So welcome, Gigi, and it's great to meet you today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to meet you.
It's great to meet you, and I have to, even though the audience won't see it, but I love your hair. I love that. It is so gorgeous. Tell us a little bit about your journey into finding out that you had all of these different diagnoses.
Okay, so right now I'm 33 years old, and when I found out I was 23, so it's been a little over a decade. I had my son when I was 20 years old, and I had a high-risk pregnancy. I never really found out why, and then after I had him, he was about 2 years old when I started having bowel movement issues. So I wasn't able to empty correctly. I would, kind of not go to the bathroom for about 2 to 3 weeks. And
Oh, wow.
I just kept being told, you need more fiber, you're young, you need more fiber. So I think I saw about 3 gastroenterologists before I found one that was like, all right, this isn't normal. And he put me through, I think, a year's worth of testing, which indicated that I had something called colonic inertia, which is under the gastroparesis umbrella, right? So my colon just stopped working. There was no movement, food wasn't getting through. And that was, that explained my issues with my bathroom my bowel movements.
Right.
So they referred me to a colorectal surgeon, and then the best course of action was to remove the entire colon and most of my rectum. And so we went along and did that. I was in nursing school, but I did not know that you could pull out the intestine through your abdomen and have a little bag attached to it. And
I would say that's cool, but it does not sound very cool.
I was so amazed with the human body that I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is really cool. The way that science has advanced and we're allowed to live without a major organ.
Yeah.
This is awesome. So I loved my little bag. Up until it started giving me issues. It was supposed to only be 2 surgeries, max. So they removed the colon, they took out my small bowel through my abdomen, and then the second surgery was to reverse it. But I had so many complications, such as swelling, scar tissue. My small bowel kept on kind of prolapsing, and we ended up having those surgeries kind of earlier than scheduled. And again, I guess the ileostomy wasn't for me because I kept on getting hernias and scar tissue and just a million other issues. Something called intussusception, where the bowel kind of like folded up into itself, like kind of like when you fold a sock.
Yes.
And it's just, in total, I had 8 intestinal surgeries, one of which my surgeon accidentally perforated my small bowel and I went into septic shock.
Wow.
So I was in the ICU fighting for my life for about a month. And
thank God you survived that. I mean,
yes.
How terrifying is that?
It was very, I didn't even know what was going on. All I remember was I felt as if my body was just lit on fire from my abdomen up. And luckily I was in the hospital because of a surgery and I was about to be discharged the next day. They did tell me, call your family and say goodbye because you are in the final stages of life. And I was just like, I have a son. I have a 2-year-old son. What do you mean say goodbye? But I survived that. And having survived that, I don't want to say that I wasn't ungrateful. I was very grateful when I woke up. But when I woke up, it was hard. It was a battle every day. I had to fight major infection. It didn't want to leave my body. I was in a lot of pain. I didn't want my son to see me like that, so he wasn't allowed to visit, as per my request. Also, it was the ICU, so I think they don't allow children either. It was so hard that I did fall into deep depression. And I did have my moments where I was like, I think I need to let go. But my mother, she was by my side and she kept on reminding me, you have Aaron to fight for. You have to go home. You have to get home. And I think my mother and my son gave me the strength to actually fight through that and come home.
Good.
Yeah, I'm glad that they were there in spirit and physically there to be able to give you that strength so that you could fight through all of that, because that is an awful lot, especially as, an early 20s person.
Yeah.
In having to go through, prior to that, were you like athletic or just kind of?
Well, I enjoyed working out. And I loved school. As I said, I was in school for nursing and I had plans, for me and my son, because at the time it was just him and I. And I was just really excited about completing nursing school and then eventually moving up in the medical field, maybe possibly becoming a surgeon one day. That was always my dream. And so having that, to then having nothing, just learning how to walk again, learning how to talk again, learning how to move and just get back home and navigating parenthood. They sent me home with tubes in my stomach and, just draining tubes and then my ileostomy. And as a female, I'm not taking away from how difficult it is from a male, but as a female, I think that in general, we struggle a lot with, with our image. And, I back then I didn't have, I guess, a partner or a support system. And I just kept on being told that I'm sick and that I'm a mom and I don't have anything else and I'm not worth much. So mentally that brought me down. Having the ostomy, that brought me down. There are a lot of mean people out there. And there are a lot of comments that you get when you mention that you have kind of like a poop bag on your stomach. And, it's, people are not nice. And they, instead of asking questions, they're just like, that's disgusting, and it's like, well, this thing saved my life. So
even if it is disgusting, which I don't think it is, but even if it is disgusting, you're right. I mean, it saved your life. It allows you to be here for your family, for yourself. And you touched on something that I also kind of wanted to maybe discuss more on, is that being the female or assigned female at birth, do you think that kind of played into making it more difficult to then get the help from the doctors that you needed before you went into, septic shock and such?
Absolutely. I think that as females, we are taught or we are told that we are supposed to endure pain, and that's why we're here. You gave birth. That was always something that I heard. Oh, but you gave birth already, right? You know what that feels like. So this is nothing. And it's like, excuse me, you keep comparing about pain to other pain. It's just, I was amazed at the responses that I got. And before I was already in septic shock, I imagine, but before I actually felt any symptoms, I told the doctor, I said, something is wrong. I don't feel right. I have a fever and you're about to discharge me tomorrow. And they said, you're okay. This is normal. This is all in your head. You just want to get out of the hospital, so don't worry, that's coming tomorrow. And in the next couple of hours, everything unraveled, and she was, and funnily enough, she was a female. Right before pulling me back into emergency surgery, she looked down on me and she's like, I am so sorry that I didn't listen to you. And that her face will always stick with me. What she said will always stick with me, because I told you
Yeah.
that, something was wrong. Maybe had they drawn extra labs just to make sure this could have been avoided, it could have been caught a little bit sooner. Yes, I am alive, but I went through a significant amount of pain, and that should not have happened.
Yeah.
No.
And saying sorry only does so much.
Right.
Listen the first time and pay attention the first time.
I wanted to say that I'd like to think that she learned from that.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
truly hope so.
I hope that my pain was meant for something greater, and she learned from that mistake, and almost having lost a patient to then, listening to her next patient, and then so I really hope that did something. I think it did. I did see remorse in her, in her face when everything was happening. So I really, really, really hope that she remembers me, and that should not have happened, and it won't happen again.
Right.
Sepsis is something that's I don't think many people know about sepsis or the signs
unfortunately
of
they
sepsis.
don't.
Like, you can even start with a little rash on your arm, and people think that's okay. Next thing you know, you're fighting for your life.
Yeah.
So it should be something that should definitely be talked about more.
We lost our brother-in-law to sepsis, and I'll be honest, before that happened, I didn't quite understand it either until I was kind of woken up.
Thank you. And it was just, with him, it was just kind of like he had gone in, he was having, if I remember correctly, I believe he was having bowel issues as well. And he was in the hospital because of it. And then he developed sepsis, and the next thing we know, he was gone. And even the doctors were like, how'd this happen, kind of thing. And I think it also has to do with the fact that they weren't listening to him either. And we shouldn't have to, be on death's bed or, signing away our lives at the end of the day just to get anybody to listen. And I hope that through your story, through our stories and all that stuff, that we are able to then get medical professionals all the way up to JFK Jr. and to get them to understand that not only are we human, but we know our bodies. Maybe sometimes we might be wrong, but we still know our bodies, and we can help you navigate. You don't have to know everything, but when we come to you for help, don't automatically discard us just because we've had a baby before, or wait until you have a kid and then you'll understand. It's like, no, you don't have to have a kid in order to understand what's going on with your body.
Which
absolutely
kind of leads me to my question. You had a long list of diagnoses, unfortunately.
Yes.
Was the intestinal problems your first one, or did you have issues before that?
So that was the first major thing that happened to me in adulthood. As a child, I had a lot of gastrointestinal issues, and all I remember was being in the hospital every other weekend for gastritis, for stomach ulcers, for things like that. And I was always rushed to the ER. I would spend hours in the ER, so much so that I talk to people now, and I'm like, what do you mean you didn't go to the hospital as a child? I was actually just with my sister-in-law visiting her. She just had her first baby, and we were talking casually. She's like, yeah, I never had an IV in my arm before. And I'm like, whoa,
wow.
What kind of life is this?
Yeah. I always thought people had, gone through IVs because in order to have my kids, I had IVs. And,
right.
So I just assumed everybody has had one.
Yeah, I've gotten them for just at any small, tiny thing. I get them now, like, just as if it's just a snack, know? Like, I'm just like, what do you mean you've never been sick? Or what do you mean you've never broken a bone? That's another thing. I have a lot of joint issues, spinal issues. So as a kid, I spent a lot of time in PT, getting pulled out of school to go to PT, and doctors, orthopedic doctors, surgeons in different countries too, couldn't even figure out what was going on and with my legs, with my feet, with my hips. And so that kind of leads me to what I have now. Recently, I did find out I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it could be the cause for everything that has happened to me throughout my life. And I do have I have two orthopedic surgeons, one for my knee and one for my hip. And they both were like, oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That makes sense, because, yes. I do have a lot of disabilities under my belt, and the other one that I found out through the colonic, like through that time was congestive heart failure. I was 23 when I got diagnosed with congestive heart failure. And so this is another thing that kind of upset me. The doctor at the time, he said, "You're young, you're going to heal. You're going to be fine. So I'm going to put you on some medication, but it's only going to be temporary." And then a couple months later, my heart function decreased and I was at risk for cardiac arrest. So I saw a new cardiologist and they're like, they should have never taken you off of your medication. Once you're diagnosed with congestive heart failure, we have to figure out how to keep you stable. And that should have never happened. Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, great. I did get a defibrillator pacemaker implant. That was my first one. And that same year after I got implanted, it went off. It shocked me because I had cardiomyopathy. So I went through ablations for that. My heart rate would just increase so much so that my heart was very much at risk. And then after that, everything just started unraveling. I was told I couldn't have any more children. I had my one son, but I was heartbroken because I wanted more. Very grateful that I had my son and everything. I think that he was sent to me at a young age because he was meant to save my life. That's what I believe. And I did find a team, a specialist that was willing to fight for me. A maternal fetal specialist team that was willing to do the right testing to see if I could have another child. And my husband came into my life when my son was about 4 years old. And I met him in high school. We dated in high school, and then life just took us, our own ways. When he came back into my life, I remember I did tell him, I'm a sick person. I have this, I have that. I have my son. My son is everything to me. So I want you to know that if you're not going to take me or my son seriously, then please just keep on moving. Right. But no, my husband his name is Julio, and Julio is the father that Aaron needed and has always wanted. He came in and he has always taken care of me. He's always put me first. I don't know if this man is a superhero. He never gets tired.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, he never gets tired. He's always just so happy. He's so positive. And, sometimes I'm like, stop it. Like, I'm a realist. Stop being so positive.
Yes.
But if it weren't for him, I think I'd be in a darker place. Like, he keeps me going. And with him is when we decided to look for a doctor to fight for us, and we were able to have another child. I had my daughter. Her name is Azula. I don't know if you guys are Avatar fans.
Yes, I love Avatar.
So we named her Azula, as she's in the Fire Nation, and let me tell you, the name fits her personality. Pregnancy with her was really difficult. And I was told you have a 33% chance of survival, you have a 33% chance of staying the same, and you have a 33% chance of getting worse because of your heart. So is this really what you want? And we decided, yes, we really want to have her. We want to fight for her. And we did it. We had her. I almost lost her during labor. She was also a very high-risk pregnancy, but she made it. I made it. And she did increase my heart function. So
that's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, some of, my husband's superhero stuff kind of went into her, I guess, because they helped me.
I don't know if this is a thing, but did getting pregnant help with some of the endometriosis symptoms and
it does
other things? Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. I think that when you're pregnant, your body is kind of just like, all right, we have to take care of this baby and we have to feel better and we have to fix this and fix that. And at the same time, I was feeling terrible. So I do think that it was, my body was kind of protecting my daughter, but I was just, I couldn't even walk I couldn't even get up some days. I couldn't move. It took a lot out of me, but I do have endometriosis. I have trigeminal neuralgia, which I found out recently. I suffer from chronic migraines, which I have suffered with chronic migraines since I was a teenager. But again, they kind of just told me that it was due to stress or school or, again, being a female. If you have your periods, it comes with headaches and all this. And it's like, migraines are debilitating.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
You can't open your eyes. You can't look at the light. You can't hear noise. Sometimes I have a migraine now.
Oh, that's got to be awful.
You kind of learn to live with it, because when you're young, they tell you that it's normal. With endometriosis, they told me, I didn't know that I had endometriosis, but they told me, you're a woman, periods are hurtful, periods are heavy, this is normal, you're going to be out for a couple of days, but you're still expected to go to school and do your work and live your life, and that's it.
Yeah, when growing up, my periods were god awful, to the point of where if they started when I was in school, I literally had to go and lie down in order to even remotely function throughout the day, because it was it was encompassing. My back felt like it was being ripped in half. And I would just be in excruciating pain. And I remember like one of the nurses being like, well, it's just your period. Why are you so dramatic?
Oh my God.
And it's like, I wish I was being dramatic, but this is how it is for me. And I remember sitting in class sometimes banging my head on the desk, because that was the only way I could relieve some of the pain, was basically giving myself a headache.
More pain.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be normal. That shouldn't be considered normal. No. And
absolutely not.
I talked to my mom's OBGYN at the time, because I started very early. I was like 9 when I started. And I remember telling the doctors, it's incredibly painful. I'm missing school. I have to either miss school and basically sleep the day away, or if I'm at school, I'm trying to find some way of causing pain somewhere else. And I don't want to live like that. And they're like, well, you're young, you're a girl, this is expected, periods are gonna hurt, don't worry, it'll get better. And for me, it didn't get better until after I had 3 children.
It got better after the first.
Not well enough until
significantly better.
No, it didn't.
Hey, no uterus, no opinion.
All right.
Exactly. It wasn't.
But I did have to deal with her, so I got a little opinion.
And I totally thank you for dealing with me with that, because I was literally out. I was useless. Well, let me rephrase that. Yeah. I wasn't useless. My body just wasn't agreeing with me. And I apologize for that internalized ableism. Creeping in there.
I think we're all such, I think we're so critical of ourselves, and we say these things about ourselves. But I just heard you say that, and I say that about myself all the time. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not useless. And it's just like, why can't I apply that to myself when I'm feeling this way? So that's something that I can relate to.
I definitely can relate back to that, because I will sit there and be like, I'm tired, and my body just forces me to kind of have a nap sometimes. And I'll wake up and I'll be like, I just slept. What's wrong with me? I should have been up all day, cooking or cleaning or doing X, Y, and Z. And I didn't. So there's another day wasted, but it's not really wasted. If my body is saying you've got to take a rest, I got to take the rest. And, that is part of understanding that we're worth more than just, did you bring home a paycheck?
Of course.
Men and women, both. We're all worth more than just bringing home a paycheck, because we enrich each other's lives more than just, hey, did you get me that nice new Versace purse? Or a special type of car, and all of those things.
Absolutely.
And I am notorious for not always listening to myself, but I hope other people can take that and understand that they are worth more. We all need to understand that. And how did you get from how did you find a way out of some of those holes that you found yourself in with your depression?
I'm still there. Yes. So I have a therapist, and I see her once a week. It's virtual, but I work with her once a week. And I think everything, not with my depression, but with my anxiety. I have severe anxiety. The PTSD stems from that surgery with the septic shock, I think. And a lot of it also stems from COVID, because I got pregnant with my daughter, and then COVID hit, and it was like okay, well, you can't get COVID because you're going to die and your baby's going to die. And I'm like, oh my God, like I was just terrified. And then you have your people saying COVID is not real and all that stuff. And that just pissed me off because I was just like, it's very real. Just, just because it didn't happen to you or you had a cousin or an aunt or a sister that got COVID and it was just a little sniffle doesn't mean that it's not real for someone else who has lost a family member, lost a child, lost a parent. And, I just remember thinking I have to protect my kids at all costs, my unborn baby, my son who was 7 at the time. And, we just lived in fear. We were supposed to enjoy our pregnancy and we didn't. I didn't. I was just in fear. On top of the fear that I already had of losing her because it was a high-risk pregnancy, it was just insane. So when she was born, it's like a flip was switched and my anxiety just went from, well, I always had anxiety, but let's say 20% to just 150%. I could not manage. To this day, there are days where I'm like, I can't leave the house because someone's going to take my child. She's almost 5. And, these are the thoughts that kind of seep into my head. And I have to kind of work through that and think, okay, it is a scary world out there. There are bad things that happen, but we're going to be okay. And I have to try to have some sort of normal life for kids, have normalcy for them. I don't want them to have my fears. So, for instance, I just had to get on a plane and go visit our family in the West Coast, and I don't like planes. I'm deathly afraid of them. But my daughter, she was so excited to be on a plane and I'm here crying and she's next to me like, yay, we're in the air. And I was like, yay. So I'm here crying and she's like, I was like, I'm crying because I'm so happy. But deep down, I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to be here right now on this plane, but I have to hide that from them. The way that I manage, again, I think my husband, he's really, really good at kind of distracting me or snapping me out of a panic attack. He does say that right before a surgery, I push him away. I kind of get a little more hasty with him and mean. And he's like, I know not to take it personally because I know you're doing it to push me away on purpose. I have told him, like, leave. If you want to leave, just leave. I'm too much to deal with. So I do get stressed more before a surgery or before something that scares me, such as a flight or something like that. And I do warn him, like, I'm in a high anxiety kind of state. So I'm sorry for what I say or what I'm about to say. He's very, very patient. So, and he kind of knows how to calm me down. I do have a service dog in training. And as soon as he hears me cry, he'll come to me and he'll also kind of calm me down, and that helps a lot. But I'm the kind of person that doesn't really leave their house. I'm always here. I'm always home. It's for one reason or another. So it's either pain, fear, or just everything that we have to do as parents, like we just have so much to do. Prepare for this, prepare for that, make dinner, clean the house, do laundry. And yes, there are days where I can't even get up out of the bed and my husband has to take off of work. And I feel terrible for it. I feel like I am useless. Again, I feel like I'm useless, but I know that I'm not. And he tells me, take a look around. Like, this house is standing because of you. You did that and you did this, you fixed that and you did the laundry and you made dinner and you're allowed to fall apart every once in a while because it's normal. I mean, even for people that are not sick, they get exhausted and they'll take some time off of what they're, I guess, quote, supposed to do. But I don't think we should all live on such a schedule because life happens.
Yes.
And your body happens and your symptoms happen and it gets in the way, and it's okay to take a break. It really is.
We have to take breaks sometimes. Even if you are able-bodied, you should take a break, definitely.
Absolutely.
But when you're in the disabled realm, I think you really have to take those breaks and understand that it's not a slight against yourself. It doesn't mean that you're not, doing what you can. It's just your body is saying, no, not today.
Yeah, I can't today.
Yeah, and I think we have so much internalized ableism that we kind of fear staying home and doing all of those stuff, and that we're supposed to be out constantly. And, we're not supposed to be afraid of anything, which is kind of silly, especially nowadays. I mean, after COVID was frightening. Even if it is just a small cold, the fact that people were dying,
yes.
Children, young people, adult, old people, and the fact that it didn't seem to pick people, like a certain type of people. It was just like, I'll pick you.
It was so random.
Yeah, it was just everywhere. And you have those fears, which I think are legitimate. And anybody who says otherwise, just, I would love to kick your ass.
Yeah, I agree.
There's so much that, we go and have to think about in order to survive with, our other neighbors and classmates or, whatever we're doing. So I think that anxiety is kind of normal to an extent, at least our anxiety is. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that we should be afraid of it. I think we should listen to it. Sometimes if you get that gut feeling and it's just not right, listen to the gut feeling. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's what's helped you stay here. You knew something was wrong. Yes. And when people didn't want to listen, they're like, yeah, whatever, you're only a kid. You don't know anything yet, or whatever they decide to say to themselves. The fact that we heard our guts and kept pushing is what allows us and hopefully future generations to then not go through so much debilitating aspects of it and maybe stop it before it gets that point. And I want to really, get this out there so that people don't have to suffer so much, because I think that especially the regime right now wants us to suffer so badly.
I think, yes, absolutely.
And being able to talk to you and even laugh about the fact that we might be afraid to go outside sometimes to even check the mail or whatever, and be able to have those, I guess you could say, inside jokes. No pun intended. I think that's, a part of the resistance of dealing with not only our ailments, but also dealing with what's going on right now.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what helps us keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I rely heavily on my dark sense of humor. Yes. I think if I didn't, I'm very sarcastic and I have my sense of humor, and I know who I can joke with, and I know not to joke like that with my mother, because obviously, she's just like, oh my God, no, don't say that. But I do that a lot. And right now I'm in a point where I'm getting denials left and right, insurance denials. Yep. Yeah. Because right after my EDS diagnosis, I didn't have many trouble. I didn't have much trouble with getting approvals for testing, radiology, even surgeries. But now they're denying me for everything. I haven't gotten approved for my genetic testing, and I've been waiting for this since September 2024.
Wow.
And what I want to know is, do I have all of these subcategories of EDS. I need to know this because that could explain why I have heart disease. That could explain if I have vascular EDS, that, which is very dangerous. And I have children. And so because this is genetic, I want answers so that I could know what to do with my kids and how to go forward for them. But no, I appealed so many times, and they sent me a court date, and you're going to laugh. The court date was September 9, 2999.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So in about 900 and something years, I'll have my court date.
Wow.
And I have a picture too. It's incredible. And I'm like, so I opened the letter with my sister. My sister, she's my best friend, and she is everything to me. She was with me when we opened the envelope, and I have a lot of siblings, but she's the next one up. She's the one that kind of beat my ass when I was like a very rebellious teenager. And now is the time where we get along and we understand each other. So she's next to me. She's like, oh, your court date's going to be in almost 1,000 years. And we just look at each other and we burst into laughter, and we were making so many jokes. And I was like, all right, well, we're going to have to tell our grandchildren to take my ashes to the hearing. Because I won't be alive. Yes. But then right after that, it hit me. And I burst into tears. because it's like, do you really see me as such a joke, as a number, a claim number? You know, is this really what you're doing to people who need basic care and testing? You're giving them these, excuse me, bullshit court dates that are not even real. Are you kidding me? Is this a joke to you? I'm here. I just found out that I have a genetic disorder, that my children might have it. And you're here kind of pushing me to the side saying, well, too bad. You're not going to get your hearing. You're not going to get your blood work. And genetic testing is very, very expensive.
Yes, it is.
Listen, in my household, only my husband works. I don't work because I'm constantly getting surgeries. Whatever it is, I don't work, you know, and we can't just say, okay, we're going to drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars for genetic testing because we don't have it like that. We kind of struggle here. And I know that there are people in other countries or in other places of it, you know, even in our country who don't have insurance. And I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful. I'm very grateful that I have insurance. I'm very grateful that I've gotten my surgeries and I'm alive and I have medication and all that. But this is really important. And I think once they saw the EDS diagnosis, they were like, okay, this girl's never going to stop getting, you know, medical treatment or care. So let's just deny everything she needs. It kind of hit me like a truck, and I was just crying, and I was like, I can't believe that the system has failed us so badly. I appealed. I have all my letters from all of my specialists and surgeons and doctors saying that they do truly believe that I need genetic testing, and I still haven't gotten an actual date. I called them. I said, "You sent me $29.99. What am I supposed to do with this?" They're like, "Oh, yeah, we're going to send you a new date," and I still haven't heard from them. I have the option of maybe saving the money and paying for genetic testing, which I guess in the end I'm going to have to do. But as of right now, I'm fighting. I'm fighting them, and I'm letting them know that I'm not going to give up, because just like me, there are other people out there waiting for their procedures and medications and tests. And I'm not going to give up. I am going to be a pain in your behind until I get what I need.
That's good. You should. Yes. We actually went through something with Dory. She was denied her wheelchair by the insurance because she didn't say she needed it inside as much as outside. Because inside, she doesn't need to go around a lot. So she figured outside is what she needed it for, to go on walks with us and stuff. But because she said she didn't need it inside as much, they can't cover it. So they denied us. And like you said, I'm the only one that works. So we can't afford to just go out and buy a $3,000-$4,000 wheelchair.
Exactly.
And so, insurance is bullshit. 100%. Yeah.
Don't give up. Keep on fighting them.
We all need to, for sure.
Yeah, I got denied a power scooter too. I have my wheelchair, but sometimes, so I can walk. I can use my cane, or sometimes I need my wheelchair. It just depends on the day, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But they did deny my power scooter, which I think is really important when it's just me and my kids, because I'm not going to have my 13-year-old push me. I'm their mom, I want to be able to take care of them. And I just, what if I were alone? What if I went outside by myself and I needed, who's going to push me? And that the whole wheelchair thing, with your arms, that's really hard.
Yes.
I have a wheelchair and it's very, very hard. It hurts. So keep on fighting. That's what I'm doing too. I'm fighting.
It's just,
and I'm sorry.
No, thank you. And I'm sorry that you're having to fight this too, because I don't even understand what's the point of it. We pay their salaries.
Yeah.
We pay them to cover these things for us so that all of the stuff that we pay into their coiffers, their lovely little banks and all that stuff, is supposed to cover those things. That's the whole point of how it started, was that we pay them monthly. And as we pay their monthly fees, that accumulates and then covers what we had them cover for us. That was what the whole point was. Now it's like we're just paying for salaries of the EO. And oh, well, you have to have insurance, but we're not going to do shit for you.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's frustrating because it's like, again, why am I paying you then? Why don't I just save the money instead of paying you monthly? I'll save up the money and then go to the doctor that way, or, get what I need that way if you can make enough off of not paying the insurance.
Exactly. And I know so many people that are going through this. Like I said, I've been going through this over a decade, but I've never been so vocal about it because I thought that I was the only young 20-something-year-old going through all of these things. I thought, okay, who the hell has colonic inertia or gastroparesis or congestive heart failure at my age? Nobody. So I felt really alone, and I would put it on my private platform, but at my private Instagram or my private Facebook, it wouldn't leave from there. Recently with my EDS diagnosis, I was like, oh my God, this is genetic, and I bet that there are so many other people out there who go through this. So I'm going to start a public Instagram. And that's when I started Strength in Every Stripe. And the community that I have found here is amazing. I can't tell you the warmth, the love, the support, just talking to somebody with no judgment, no hate, no, nothing like that. I feel so much better than I did before because my support system was my husband. But he can only understand so much,
right?
When you talk to somebody with the same diagnosis, maybe not even when you talk to another chronically ill patient that just knows what it means to have no spoons.
Yes,
that to me was just incredible, and I have found so much love in this community. I talk to people on a regular basis. I've been a little MIA since my my trip recently, but I will be back and answering my inbox, and I've met so many incredible people. I want to do this for other people who feel alone. And I'm the type of person that I will respond to anyone at whatever time. I have trouble sleeping, so I'm up at every time of any time of the day. And I want to give somebody else the support that I didn't have, when I first started through my medical journey. And that's why I did it. I always beat myself up because I'm like, I did this too late. I should have done this 10 years ago, but it's better late than never.
Yes.
And, like I said, it's just the support is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Dory brought me into this community. She's far more disabled than me. I mean, I have, I guess you could say, disabilities, but she was already talking to like you and some of the other people in the community. And that's kind of where the podcast came about. And the more I've been on Instagram with the community and doing this, it is amazing how close everyone is together and how safe it feels there, no matter who you are, as long as, of course, you're supportive. But no matter who you are, how safe it is, it's just amazing.
Safe is the perfect word, I think, because that's definitely, I know I've kind of neglected my personal account more since, because that's more from, family stuff, my kids. Once in a while I'll post my kids on my public account, but it's, I did it more for the medical stuff and all that. But I've kind of neglected my my private accounts because I gravitate toward this community more. Yeah. I love my family. They've been supportive. There are some more than others. I will put that out there.
Of course.
Always. I will say that. I'm very blunt and I'm very honest. And I will say that some family members just don't get it.
To be fair, I kind of understand, because when you don't have anything wrong with you in the way that, not that there's anything wrong with us, but you get what I mean. It's like,
I do, yeah.
When
the ailments, I guess.
Yes, the ailments are there. Then they don't understand, well, why are you always in pain? Or why does it have to take so much from you? And I think they're coming from a place of, I saw you well,
right,
and now you're not, and it breaks my heart, and I don't understand how to help you.
I can speak to that.
Yeah. Sometimes I think
100%.
they're just shitty people sometimes. And they're just like, well, you're screwed. Goodbye. But there's always that one. But I think a lot of them, especially our family members, are just like, I saw you okay, and now you're not okay, and I don't know how to help you, because there's so much that has changed for us. We used to be able to do, let's say, bike rides in the park or, go horseback riding without a problem. And now you can't.
Right.
And they're focused on the now you can't, that they don't necessarily think about but what you can do now and how your illness may have changed you, but you're still you.
I can talk to this as the able body that watched you go through it. When you don't feel it and you can't necessarily see it because your leg's not dislocated or facing the wrong way or something, sometimes it can be hard to, believe it. I don't want to sound like I didn't believe what she was telling me. I did, of course, but it can just be hard to comprehend and believe what's really going on there. And it can be really hard to accept the fact that things are going to be different.
Yeah, it's like an abstract. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's hard to see in the abstract.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have categories, I guess. So I have my support system that bothers to learn and ask questions about my disabilities and why and what and how. Mm-hmm. So I have those, and they are my greatest support system. Then I have the people who are just, they don't bother to ask. They don't bother to learn. And after over a decade, they're still like, but why do you have to go to the bathroom 70 times a day? Why are you always late? That's a big one. Why are you always late? And it's like, how many times do I have to explain to you that I take medication, that I have to go, I have to be near a bathroom? Or how many times do I have to tell you that some days are better than others? I can't get up, I can't move as fast. Mm-hmm. And I still try to make it for them. I still try to go to family events or, whatever. And then you have your people that drop you completely because they just don't care. And I've had a lot of those. I'm down to maybe like one last great friend. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. I have others, but they're busy with their own lives, Mm-hmm. But I meant like as in my group of friends. Mm-hmm. I'm down to just one that she has actually stuck by my side. And, everybody else is like, well, you're too much to take care of, so I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And you know what? I get it. Mm-hmm. I get it. It's not for everybody. You can't expect everyone to be so patient or, just willing to take care of another person. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. That's why I think and I say that my husband is a superhero, mm-hmm. and it sounds like you are a superhero because you help your wife, like it's just,
he is a superhero.
You find these hidden gems in life.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm. And
some are gems and some turn out to be rocks.
Yep. And no matter how much pressure you apply to that rock, it stays a rock.
Absolutely.
And
but that's okay. In the end, it shows you who's actually there.
Yeah, that's a good point, mm-hmm. is that it sucks that we have to go through this to find out who our true friends are, but it's at the same time, it's kind of a blessing because then you don't have to waste your time, your energy, or, our limited spoons worrying about people who don't think about us at
mm-hmm.
all. It's hard enough for us to deal with our own bodies, failing us or deciding one day, hey, let's go run a marathon and you'll be fine. And then the next day or next week or next month, you're lucky if you can even open your eyes because your body just is like,
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Well, you're stupid. You think you're going to do this. And because of that dynamic of all of our ailments and diagnoses, because I think that in a way, all of them are kind of dynamic, where each person is different as well as your day is different. Mm-hmm. So then it makes it very difficult for outside people to understand what's really happening, especially for those of us with invisible disabilities. I'm not paralyzed, but I'm in a wheelchair and I need a wheelchair type of thing. And so being in the wheelchair allows people to then look at you and be like, oh, okay, I get you. Then they can, I guess you could say, put you in that box mm-hmm. of, okay, I understand now. You're disabled and you're probably either quadriplegic or paraplegic. Right. Because that's what they see when they see the thing. So then they don't think beyond that. They mm-hmm. don't understand that there's more to it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about our community is that we understand that there's more to it than just our aids, and that it changes daily or monthly or
absolutely,
and that we have each other, and that we could be perfect strangers one minute, and as soon as we say we need help, we're all together.
Yeah.
And I love that.
It's beautiful.
It is so incredibly beautiful. And that's why when Mike and I were talking about creating this podcast, I immediately said, I want to do this with the disabled and with LGBTQ because those people have shown me the most compassion and belonging that I've ever felt. Because usually, I stick out like a sore thumb because I'm different and they don't know where to put me anyway. And so I've always felt like other. And I've always been othered. And that's where we got this. And because it's like I found my tribe.
Yes.
And, we're all gonna push this agenda, so to speak, forward in that we are humans. We're not going anywhere. You can join us at any given moment.
Absolutely.
And we'll be there to welcome you, whether it's with open arms or straight to going to hell. But that depends on your attitude with it.
Exactly.
But it's just, that's how it kind of manifested with me. It was like, I want to make sure that we have a voice.
Yeah.
And like you with your page. And that's what drew me to your page, was that you were giving a voice to what you have and helping other people with similar issues or even none get that feeling of somebody will understand me. And that's what like sucked me to you like a fly. No, not like a fly. Like a butterfly.
Well, thank you.
A butterfly to a flower. And it healed a little bit of me. And doing this heals me. My little, my inner little child. We're in this together and that we're not alone.
Absolutely. We are not alone. And I think that that's beautiful. And I thank you. And again, I have been welcomed by so many people. When I started this Instagram, I was just like, well, what's funny is that my husband wanted to do a podcast. And I was like, I can't do that right now. I need to create an Instagram. And right now I still have my 4-year-old at home and she requires a lot of attention. Yep. So I was like, I can't do something like that where I can commit to doing, maybe like on a weekly basis on, at least with my Instagram, I can tend to it whenever I get to it. And that's something that I tell people through messaging all the time is like, I'm so sorry if I take 2-3 days to respond. Some days are better than other. On top of that, I'm a parent. On top of that, right now, we volunteered to be our daughter's soccer coaches. Well, that was more his idea, and I was like, no. Listen, I'm happy about it, but I was like, it's gonna fall on me. The work, the communicating with the parents and all, and guess what? It's on me. I'm communicating with the parents, and guess who has to work on her first game? She does. So I have to coach the first game, and I'm just like, am I gonna be okay on that day? And this is something where it's like, I have to, because even if I wasn't the coach, it's my daughter's first soccer game. So whether I have to crawl there or be carried there or whether I can walk there myself, I have to be able to go. And that's something else that a lot of people don't understand. It's like, well, why can't you make it to my, 37th birthday on Saturday? You were just fine and you went to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I have to save my energy for my kids.
Yes, they come first.
My kids and my family come first.
Yep.
Always. So I was there whenever because I could make it and I could spare the time and my body was able to move. But I have told people I will and I might cancel last minute depending on how I feel. And but I can't do that with my kids. I can't cancel their games. I can't cancel their practices. I have to be there. So yeah, I have to save whatever energy and whatever spoons I have for them.
Right.
And even for my husband, a date night of ours, it requires just sitting on the couch, maybe playing a game, maybe having a conversation, or maybe watching TV. Yep. And even that is exhausting because my lovely children love to fall asleep at 1 a.m.
Of course.
Yeah. So my only time with him is late night into the night, and I'm awake, but because I'm, my head is full of like intrusive thoughts, but he's awake because he wants to spend time with me. And it's really hard. And then we both wake up exhausted the next day. And it's just, I need people to understand that what you see in a picture, that smile, the whatever you see, that's not what goes on behind the camera.
There's a lot that goes on.
Yeah. Everyone has something going on. Everybody has their own lives. And it's like, why are you judging me? Why are you asking me why this week I'm not okay and last week I was okay? I welcome questions. Mm-hmm. That's fine. It's the judgmental tone that I don't like.
Yes.
Like, you're using a cane today? But weren't you just fine? No. How about, oh, hey, I see you're using a cane. What's going on? Why are you feeling this way? Can you explain a little more? That is what I want to hear from people. More compassion, more understanding, and the willingness to learn.
Yeah.
Please learn.
Yes, definitely. Please learn. And don't, go up to people, well, what's wrong with you?
And
what's wrong with you? Why are you asking me this? Why can't you come at me? I understand being curious when you see people with canes or crutches and all that stuff. That's perfectly fine. That gives us a chance to then, spread the word about what ailments are out there that many people don't even understand exist.
Exactly. Yes.
But when you come at us with, well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It kind of, the reason why all of a sudden those lovely doors close is because you didn't come at us with compassion and curiosity. You came at us with, you're broken, ew.
You're attacking me.
Yeah, and now, I'm going to attack you with this question because I want to make sure I am definitely not like you, is how it sounds. And so being able to find people that are just like, oh, well, I see you're using a wheelchair today, and yesterday I noticed you had a cane. Is there, something going on with your issue, your ailment, whatever you want to call it, that is making it so that some days you're with a cane and some days you're in your chair?
Yeah.
That is a question that would be more met with, oh, well, blah, 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 blah.
Or just the simple, how can I help?
Yes.
That would go such a long way. How can I help? Is just everything for me. I've gotten my car scratched by people because I have a handicap placard. It's a license plate. It's not even the placard that you hang up. It's a permanent license plate.
Right.
And I've pulled into, my spaces. And let me tell you, I'm a very nice and giving person, right? So if I'm having a good day and I can walk that extra, little bit, I won't park in the handicap space. I will save that for someone else. And I will go park in a normal space and I will walk it, no matter what. And I'm always in pain. My pain is always at a 7, 8. Always. So if I'm on the lower pain scale that day, I will take the walk and I won't park in a handicap spot. Now, most of the time, I will park in my handicap spot because I have a handicap plate. And I've had people yell at me. I've had people accuse me. Oh, you're using your grandma's plate, or you're using your grandma's car, or this and that, or whatever. I've come back to scratches on my car. And it's like, I've had a breakdown. I've broken down in my car crying many times because I've gotten attacked and I've gotten comments and here and there. And I specifically remember with my first ileostomy, I went to the supermarket, I parked my car, and when I came back out, I was getting yelled at. And it was like, you're walking, and you're young, and you're fine, and whose car are you using? And I lifted up my shirt, and I was like, I have an ileostomy. I just had surgery 3 weeks ago, and I have a heart condition. And I just went off on this person. And it's like, why should I have to explain myself to you?
Yeah,
right.
Why should I have to put myself through that stress, explaining myself to you, screaming in the middle of a parking lot in front of everyone, lifting my shirt, exposing my own business, exposing my body to someone who didn't stop and think there's something underneath. There's an underlying issue or whatever, and I should keep my comments to myself. Like, what did you gain by yelling at somebody today?
Right.
For something that you don't understand or that you don't see. That's my issue. It's more like that.
I kind of
understand.
You get what I'm saying? I'm getting worked up right now. I'm like,
I kind of chuckled when you told that story because when Dory and I go out, if we stop at a store for something real quick, usually I'll get out and run in, but I'll still park in the handicap spot because she's with me. And I make a joke. I don't want to take away the good spots for all the other people that aren't handicapped.
Yes, exactly. And if you have the placard or you have the license plate, it doesn't matter. One, we should not have to police ourselves.
No.
We shouldn't be made to feel bad. Yes, I understand, giving a courtesy, and if you have a good day, okay, don't necessarily park in the parking spot, but you have a placard.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to park there. You need it just like everybody else.
Yeah. And it's nobody's business, really, why I have a placard.
Exactly.
Like, did you know... It's really hard to get a handicap license plate or a placard.
Yes, it is. It's not handed out like, Penn's dispensers.
Exactly. It's not like I just took it from someone or my doctor just said, hey, here you go. I'm going to do you a favor. No, we have to prove that we're disabled in order to get this. And, if you maybe knew that, you wouldn't go out yelling at people or scratching people's cars. It just doesn't
make sense. And it frustrates me when people within the community are just like, well, you're not in a wheelchair all the time, so you don't deserve to park there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I've met
We're
those.
all handicapped.
Mm-hmm.
We have disabilities, obviously, because we have the blue placards or whatever color it is in your state.
Yeah.
We all have those placards. You can't determine any more than an able-bodied person for me, because you're not my doctor, where I'm allowed to park, when I'm allowed to park. And, just because you may not be able to say you're always using a wheelchair, and a lot of times that they give the reason, well, if somebody's parked there and all of the parking spots are gone, well, I have to turn around and I can't go shopping or do whatever I need to. Well, guess what? That's kind of how it is for a lot of the rest of us, too.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they don't deserve to park in the spots. I'm just saying we got to stop policing each other.
Absolutely.
And just let it be. Fight the people that refuse to add the spots. Fight the people that keep saying, well, you got 3 spots, so that's good enough. And no, it's not. We need more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. Because it's, for instance, I've had on my right side, I've had 1 knee surgery, 2 knee surgeries, 1 hip surgery, and another hip surgery that's coming up. You can't see that.
No.
You know? And my joints are always in pain and on fire, and if I want to use my wheelchair, which, most of the time I don't, because I have to keep it going. I have to keep moving. I have to, I'll use my cane rather than my wheelchair. If I'm going somewhere, like a store, for instance, I will use my cane. If I'm going to take a long walk with my kids and my husband, yes, I'd rather use my wheelchair.
Right.
But, you can't see what I have or what or what, the surgeries that I've had or what's going on in there. So leave me alone.
Yes.
We're all going through something. we all have something different, and that's it.
Yeah. And I agree. We should fight the ones that park in our spot that obviously, like painfully obviously, have no placard, have no...
yes.
Those people,
absolutely.
If they have nothing, yes, fight with them. But if they have a placard or the license plate, just let us be. Just like we let you be. And we should come together and sing Kumbaya and fight the people that are against us living.
Absolutely.
The ramp, fighting against the ramps, not allowing us to have access to the aids that we need, and, fighting insurance together so that we actually can be, if possible, healed, and if not possible, access to what we need so that we can live our fullest lives and not have to worry about getting yelled at by some little old lady who's, who looks like she should be a gargoyle in front of a library.
Unfortunately, I'm the timekeeper and we're running out of time here. I want to put you on the spot real quick. If there's anything you want to say to the people out there, anything you want to talk about, go ahead. And
me?
Yeah,
yes.
You.
Yes. First, I want to say thank you to the community out there, just the chronic illness community, the disability community. Like I said, I have found a sense of belonging in this community, and I finally feel so comfortable to talk about everything that's going on, even the smallest of my pains, because someone out there will get it. My hopes for this platform, is just to reach people out there who are going through the same, and let them know that they have friends, they have someone, they have just a whole community. That's really why I did this. And I'm going to continue raising awareness and talking about it. And I think that's why I started something other than my personal one and I made a separate one, is because I know that a lot of people don't like to hear about my illnesses every single day. And it's like, well, sorry, not sorry, but that's my life. And
life.
So if you wanna come over and join me on my public platform, then you are welcome to. And I'm gonna talk about everything that I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
I just got started, so I haven't posted, everything yet. I'm still working on that. I have a couple things saved, and I will, raise more awareness. And I'm trying to reach other places and see if I could do other things to raise awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank
great.
you both. You have been very wonderful and amazing to talk to. This is definitely a safe space that you have created, and it's amazing what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
And thank you very much for joining us,
Yes.
sharing your story. And this podcast is very much like what you said, wanting to advocate for people disabled and the marginalized out there, and be able to say what needs to be said and teach people what needs to be taught.
Yeah,
absolutely. I just, one big thing for me that I'll say really quickly is I'm always in pain. Always. There is I cannot remember a day where I've been pain-free. I don't know what that feels like. I'm on the heaviest of medications, and sometimes I can't even take it because I'm a mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to deal with my pain on a daily basis, and it's always up there. It's always between a 7 or a 10. 10 being the high. And I think at this point, I've just learned to live with this amount of pain. I've learned not to talk about it to some people because a lot of people just don't want to hear it. But someone is always going through something.
Yes.
And please, I ask people just to please be kinder, be nicer. Don't judge anyone by the way that they look, because, I may put on a dress and my hair is purple and I'll do my nails, but that doesn't mean I feel okay.
Right.
And I think that just applies to everyone. So I wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
And then mental health is a big one too.
Yes.
I think anyone who is experiencing physical disability is also experiencing mental disability, because they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, and reach out, please.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always somebody that's willing to talk to you and going what you're going through and can relate. But it's okay to mourn who you used to be.
Yes, that's a big
okay
thing.
to cry. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to miss that part of you, to miss who you used to be or who you wanted to be before you got sick. That's all okay. As long as you please ask for help and get up and just continue the fight, because you are worth so much more. And I hope I remember this when I'm feeling down.
I'll remind you.
Please remind me.
Yes, I'll be there to remind you.
Play this back for me. But yeah, I just remember that you are worth so much more than what you're feeling right now. If you're feeling down, you're worth so much more. There are people who love you. There are people who care about you. And we're all in this together. We're going to figure it out, I think. And if we don't, well, we've got each other.
Yep.
We'll figure something out, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, once again, thank you very much.
Yes,
I could go on
so
for another
much.
2 hours talking about mental health.
No, me too.
But unfortunately, we have to call it a wrap. So thank you very much.
And we'll
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I hope that I can come back and
definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking to you again. Thank you so much.
All right.
You guys are amazing.
All right.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Please leave a rating for us wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Othering Podcast is brought to you by Loudcore Productions in conjunction with your support. Your host, Mike and Dory Morris, graphics by Joshua Morris, and join us next week on the Othering Podcast.